I meant that it seemed like a lot to go through. I mean, the way to pull it out and to, well, tell them about trying to digitalize it, make it into.
Well, that's your technical.
Yeah, but no, it's
It started out as a concert film. And I went to Susan and said, I think we can do something more with it. And she said, okay, well, here's 8 huge boxes of stuff to go through.
and then while you're going through, we found more stuff.
And there's still
What
more
was he
stuff.
looking?
There's more stuff.
Looking up the third floor.
Well, and if you look at some of the footage, we're still looking for some of that footage. So, but yeah, it was overwhelming, and there's so much stuff that's not in the film.
I really liked the stuff with Bob Bass. It was really, I've forgotten him saying that he's gotten back up to his feet. He's getting himself together.
He's making an adjustment.
An attitude adjustment. Well, the thing was, you'd get up and you'd see, well, I mean, that's the thing about New York, it's just, you never know where it is, but we went up to this all-night radio station and
After
a lot of wine beers, and then we got up there, and then some other people come up. They heard us on the radio and said, hey, we're gonna go play, and then I took a little nap, and more people showed up. And when I woke up, I said, oh, they're having fun, wait for me. So I jumped back in, and next thing we're having a good time. So anyway, what was really funny was Bob Fast played the original tape. And he was playing it every night. And I said, well, that was when then he did the twice in a row when I played twice. So I went home and got Gary White to come play bass, and Norma Smart to play drums, and Bromberg and we recorded it on my little tape recorder I had at home, but I wanted a real clean, good shot at it. So I made this really good tape, and I was going to take it back up to Fast and tell him to play this. Well, on the way up there, I had a few drinks, and I dropped the tape, and it rolled on the floor, and I had to pick it up with a little wad, and I took it back up there. So Bob had to put it on a reel and get it wound back up, because the way it was when he played it.
No, but it really rolled a lot.
Yeah, well, almost all the tape came off the reel, actually, and I came in with a wad, But anyway, they got it on the thing, and they got it all back up, and he played it. He said, that's very good. I said, well, thank you. I worked hard at that. And I went home, and he played 3 in a row. He plugged it on the end of the other 2 and played 3 in a row. So I couldn't win. I kept thinking I could do better than that. But that's one thing about, people always ask me, how do you get in the business? What do you got to do? I have no idea. I just think you ought to want to do it bad enough to do it, and then eventually you do it, and you have a pile of stuff.
But, anecdote that you told me about Jerry Jeff, and this is another sad fact. I heard so many great stories in the last month, after a year and a half. You know, how LA Freeway ended up on Viva Terraling. I wish I knew Guy Clark. Going through Nashville. It was just like, he has a burrito and a cup of coffee. He goes, oh, by the way, did I tell you about this? And the film's done. It's done. Well, and then he just smiles.
Let me say that for one thing, that when you started the thing, I didn't want to have to do it. I was sort of saying, whatever that is, I've already done it.
Yeah.
Because people kept saying to me, I want to get some stuff together and follow you around and do stuff. And I said, well, I'll keep playing. I'll be over here. But I didn't want to pull back to wait for them. So I thought, well, I'll just keep playing and see what evolves. And so you had to kind of weed through all that to get there. I mean,
well, the truth is that Susan, Jerry Jeff said this recently, that Susan told Jerry Jeff that Patrick's going to shoot you. And he said, oh, I'm going to be shot. I'm going away. But no.
I actually had a period of time when I was out there pretty crazy. I felt one night I might do something so weird, a guy'd say, that's enough, and just shoot me.
You missed.
Hey, but
No, the story I want to tell is your story about taking Bojangles back to Atlantic, no, was it Atlantic? Yeah, no, yes.
No, Vanguard, when I left Vanguard.
Vanguard. And how you brought Bromberg, they took you to where'd they take you to record this thing?
Memphis.
Memphis. And you brought Bromberg.
Right, and they didn't let it play
Trying to
record.
do what you were ultimately going to
Right.
do. And not a great experience.
Well, they were making a hit record, and they didn't know. And Bob Fast recorded that simple one.
Right.
There was a little magic, and I heard it tonight when it came. As I heard it come on, I said, "There's the original one," and that was the first time I ever played it in public, kind of. And then when they made the record, they actually couldn't get the feel we had. They knew it, so they let Bromberg play on this little guitar, but it was the day Robert Kennedy was shot, and I flew in my first airplane and went to Memphis, and in the old studio where Elvis had cut, it was Sam Phillips Studios. I remember we walked in there, and Tommy Dowd said, "There's 2 4-tracks sitting side by side." He looks at the one, he said, "Boys, there's the Holy Grail." That was the one that all the records, Sun records were made on. Yeah, that little 4-track was where all the early stuff started with Elvis and everything.
Was Tommy Dowd the guy that wanted to put all that stuff on that?
No, that was Arif Mardin. We flew to. What happened was when I made that tape with Bob Fast and stuff, it got played all over the air in New York. They assumed the song had been out before, but no one knew it was like having a revival, and young people liked it, and these other people could like it, adults. And so this friend of Frank Sinatra's recorded it, named Bobby Cole. And he went to Columbia Records and he said, "I now have a song the kids like, and I can sing it in my style. I knew the everything." So he cuts it. Well, they got it all cut and ready to go. But the writer has the first right of refusal. I said, "I want to do it." And somebody said, "Well, Columbia Records already has that. Who will do it?" Atlantic Records said, "We can do it." So the Columbia put out the single, but they had a note on it: "Don't play until Jerry Jeff releases his." So I fly to Memphis on like a Wednesday and cut it. We fly back to New York. They put the strings on it, and it comes out the following Monday. And the 2 of them go off the charts, racing up, the 2 of them together. And I said, "Boy, I wish I had both record companies working for me." In the long run, I guess they were, but it just turned out to be pretty weird to hear your own songs with strings on it while another guy's trying to pass you. Okay, so it was a wild trip there, but that was my experience of being in show business. Yeah.
What's your favorite moment?
What's my favorite moment? Marrying Susan and Lukenbach, Texas. That's fun. Andrew Crouch was the best man, and Nadine Eckhart was Susan's best lady. We were down in Lukenbach. We called Hondo. I remember it was one day we'd been living together just a couple of months. He said we ought to get officially married, make my folks happy. They were born in Texas. So we called Hondo and said, "Hondo, most one we can think of is going to Lukenbach. Can we get married down there?" He said, "Yeah, you could come." But I said, "Can you marry us?" He said, "Yeah, I could, but it wouldn't be legal." So he got us a justice of the peace, and we had this regular old Texas. You know, that was the period when everybody's going to Malibu and standing on the bluff and writing their own things. And we went there and said, "Let's just do it like people have been doing it forever." So we're down there, we're already partying before the wedding, and then the old preacher comes over, and Garland Taylor, was that his name? And he says, "Here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say they said, and you say, what do you get? I gave you my worldly possessions, and you gave me your soul." And Susan said, "No deal." So there's a great picture of us standing in front of him. He's looking at it like, "I've said this 1,000,000 times, and it's always worked." She's looking at me like she's arguing, "Well, I don't want to say, you get my soul when I get all your crap." So we finally, he said, "If we don't get married pretty soon, everybody's going to be too drunk." So we did.
What's the new line? The new line you just told me today.
What's that?
Based on Parker. Parker said to his, or Elvis and his manager.
Oh,
Oh, that's a funny lie.
I can't tell that. No, I just said I found out that Susan told me my IRA fund was close to $1 million. That'd make you feel good. I said, yeah. And I said, you know, Elvis always told the Colonel all he ever wanted was $1 million in the bank and his own airplane. I have both.
Again.
Oh, and I have two, so thank you. We did a high five on that one.
Well,
Always.
but think about it.
Okay, well, we got out alive. That's.
No. I got to make a family film about Jerry Jeff Walker. It was a family film. Come on. It's
A lot of babies in there. I saw Jesse.
Yeah, it's a family film.
Well, you proved you can have a family and still be an outlaw.
Yeah, well, it wasn't a tragedy, that's for sure.
Okay, thanks.
So I have a million questions swimming in my little pea brain, but I could keep you guys all night.